Hey, Marianne. I don't know about you, but I got really tired of the lockdown this week. I'm over it. I was just thinking, like, man, how much longer is this going to go? It's been going on for a really long time already. I'm thinking about all the things that I don't get to do much anymore. It's harder to do. I was just kind of discouraged this week. And the Lord took me to Romans 8:28 and 29. In Romans 8:28, it says this. Um, And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. And it was a great reminder for me this week because it was the Lord saying, this whole thing, this craziness isn't wasted. The Lord's using it for my good. Now, the question is, well, what is my good? And I think this is where we get a little bit sidetracked, and this is where we get a little bit discouraged, is we have a wrong understanding of what our good is. Because even in this case, for you, you may be in the same boat. And for your good, it's like good would be going back to work. Good, sending your kids back to school. Good would be uh, being able to do what you want to do. Good, not having to wear a mask in public. Good, I mean, what I don't know what your good is. Like, we've all these things that we want, that we think that's our good. If we just get that, then the Lord is going to use it to get my good. And I think when we have this wrong understanding of the good, we'll become discouraged because we don't see what the Lord's doing in this. It can be really frustrating. But the key, I think, to understanding what our good is and what our purpose is, what he says called according to his purpose, is in the next verse, in verse 29. And this is what it says in verse 29. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. Meaning God's purpose for us, God's good for us, is that we would be conformed to the image of his son, Jesus. That we would become more like him in our character and how we act and what we do. And I think these times of being pressed down and these times of, like when you're just really squeezed, that the stuff inside you, sometimes you didn't even know is there, that gets pushed out. And I think that's sometimes the good in this time. It's like we're getting pushed and all this junk's coming out so it can be replaced more with the character of Jesus. Like for me, one of the things that I didn't realize was still there as much as it was just a lack of patience with my kids and losing my cool with them. And it, because I'm around right all the time, and that's being squeezed out. Well, that's a good thing. That is what God's using that to expose what needs to go. That's for my good. So I will grow in maturity and become more like him and grow in patience. There's a lot of things I'm realizing too about even trying to help the Lord along. Like, I want to walk in your strength, God, and in your timing, in your way. But then if it doesn't happen kind of the way I want, I try to make things happen and try to help him along. Listen, you can't do that. That's got to go. To truly rest in him and wait on him. And so the Lord's using this time of being pressed down to expose some of those things to me that you know what I'm saying? Like, they just have got to go so it can grow in Christ's likeness. And I find too that it's often the places that we're squeezed in the most, that's the part of our heart that God's trying to say, that's what I'm trying to work on. That's a part that I want to grow in you in Christ's likeness. And so it's easy to forget. And that's why I think at the very beginning in verse 20, it says, and we know. It's like a reminder, don't forget, we know this. We know that these difficult times, we know that these situations, God is using it to conform us more into the image of Jesus. So my prayer for you is that you would not grow weary. My prayer for you is that you would continue to press on with the Lord, and that he's using this to shape you more into Christ likeness. That's his ultimate goal for you, is for you to reflect and demonstrate the character of Christ to the world around you. And he's using this time to do it. My prayer is that he would show you ways that he's doing it. And as you reflect on these past number of weeks, now we're going on months, right, of this lockdown, I encourage you to ask the Lord, God, what have you been doing in me? Where have you been growing me in Christ likeness? I'd love for you to comment below. Where do you see God working in your heart? Where do you see yourself growing in Christ likeness during this time? So that others may see that and others may read that and be encouraged by that too. My other thing is that you wouldn't grow weary of that during this time. It's like, okay, enough's enough. How much more can I grow in Christ likeness? Let's just get back to where it's a little bit easier. But that you would continue to press and say, God, whatever it takes, I want to become more like Christ. even in this is difficult, God, keep giving me endurance so that I can press in to look more like Christ in his character. That's his ultimate purpose for you. So be encouraged. This is not a wasted season. God has not forgotten you. It's hard. It's weary some days, but the Lord is making you more like Christ. So yield to the work of his Spirit in your heart. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.